Let's talk about federal ports in Malaysia, the places that keep our trade moving, our goods flowing, and our economy running. You've probably heard names like Port Klang, Penang Port, or Bintulu Port, but what actually makes them federal ports? Before we look at each port, let's first understand how everything is organized under Malaysia's transportation system. All federal ports in Malaysia are managed by the Ministry of Transport, MOT. The MOT is the main federal body responsible for overseeing Malaysia's maritime, land, air, and rail transportation systems. It ensures that all transport sectors are safe, efficient, sustainable, and compliant with international standards. Under the Ministry of Transport, there are several key departments and agencies, including the Malaysia Marine Department, which oversees maritime safety, port regulations, and shipping operations; the Malaysia Road Transport Department, JPJ, which manages vehicle registration, driver licensing, and road safety; the Land Public Transport Agency, APAD, which regulates public transport services such as buses, taxis, and rail systems; the Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia, CAAM, which supervises all aviation activities and ensures compliance with international aviation standards; the Railway Assets Corporation, RAC, which manages and maintains Malaysia's railway assets and infrastructure. In the Maritime Division, the port authorities such as the Port Klang Authority, PKA, Johor Port Authority, JPA, Kuantan Port Authority, KUPA, Penang Port Commission, PPC, Bintulu Port Authority, BPA, and Labuan Port Authority, LPA, all operate under the Ministry of Transport. These authorities are supported by specialized agencies like the Maritime Institute of Malaysia, MIMA, which conduct research, policy studies, and safety assessments to support national transportation planning. Federal ports are ports managed and regulated by the federal government through the Ministry of Transport Malaysia. This means that their laws, authorities, and development plans are under the jurisdiction of the federal government rather than state governments. Federal ports in Malaysia operate under several main pieces of legislation, including the Port Authorities Act 1963, which defines the establishment, powers, and responsibilities of port authorities; the Penang Port Commission Act 1955, which governs the operations of the Penang Port Commission; the Bintulu Port Authority Act 1981, which established the Bintulu Port Authority. This act was repealed in 2022 when the port was transferred under Sarawak state control. There are also important supporting laws. The Ports Privatization Act 1990, which allows private companies to operate port facilities under the supervision of the federal government; the Federation Port Rules 1953, which outline operational and safety procedures for port activities. In simple terms, the federal government handles the regulation and planning, while private port operators carry out the day-to-day operations under these laws. Now, let's take a look around Malaysia to see where the federal ports are located and what they do. In the north, we have Penang Port, which is managed by the Penang Port Commission, PPC, and operated by Penang Port SDN, BHD. It is one of the oldest and busiest ports in Malaysia, serving as a major hub for container, cargo, and passenger ferry operations. Not far from there, on Langkawi Island in Kedah, lies the Teluk Ava Jetty, which also falls under the Penang Port Commission. It is operated by Kedah Cement Jetty SDN, BHD, and mainly handles bulk cement and raw material cargo. On the east coast, there are two important federal ports, Kemaman Port in Terengganu and Kuantan Port in Pahang. Kemaman Port is regulated by the Kemaman Port Authority and operated by Consortium Pelabuhan Kemaman SDN, BHD. It serves the oil, gas, and heavy industry sectors. Kuantan Port, previously managed by the Kuantan Port Authority, is now operated by Kuantan Port Consortium SDN, BHD, following its privatization. It is a key gateway for trade with China and East Asia, handling large volumes of containers and petrochemical products. Down south in Johor, there are two major federal ports, Johor Port and the Port of Tanjung Pelepah, PTP. Both are regulated by the Johor Port Authority. Johor Port handles multi-purpose cargo, including containers, liquid bulk, and general goods. Port of Tanjung Pelepah is one of the busiest container ports in the world, and a major transshipment hub linking Malaysia to global shipping routes. It is operated by Pelabuhan Tanjung Pelepah SDN, BHD. In the central region, Tanjung Bruas Port in Malacca plays a key role in domestic shipping and regional logistics. Further north in Selangor, we have Port Klang, Malaysia's largest and busiest port, and one of the top ports in Southeast Asia. Port Klang is managed by the Port Klang Authority and includes major terminals such as West Ports, North Port, and South Point. It handles millions of containers annually and serves as Malaysia's principal maritime gateway. Over in East Malaysia, Bintulu Port in Sarawak was established under the Bintulu Port Authority Act 1981 and serves as Malaysia's main export hub for liquefied natural gas, LNG, and other energy products. However, since 2022, Bintulu Port has been placed under the control of the Sarawak government, no longer a federal port. Meanwhile, Labuan Port, managed by the Labuan Port Authority, remains a federal port. It supports oil and gas operations, as well as general cargo and passenger activities around the Labuan area. So, how do all these ports stay organized, efficient, and safe? The answer lies in several key laws and acts that define how Malaysian ports are managed and regulated. Some of the main ones are the Ports Privatization Act 1990, which allows private companies to manage and operate port facilities under government supervision. The Port Authorities Act 1963, which defines the roles, responsibilities, and powers of port authorities. Under this act, each port authority not only manages the port but also exercises regulatory functions, ensuring that port activities, facilities, and services provided by licensed operators meet approved performance standards. The Federation Port Rules 1953, which set the foundation for operational standards and safety procedures across Malaysian ports. The Kedah Port Rules 1984, which specify detailed guidelines for ports located in the state of Kedah. The Merchant Shipping Ordinance 1952, MSO 1952, which empowers the Minister of Transport to make rules, orders, and regulations relating to shipping safety, marine environment protection, and port management. Accessibility to legislations and publications. Under Section 81 of the MSO 1952, every shipowner must ensure that the latest Malaysian legislations, notices, international rules, and publications related to maritime safety, security, and the marine environment are readily accessible on board. The Director of Marine may determine this list through Malaysia shipping notices, and failure to comply can lead to a fine of up to Ringgit 25,000 for each ship. Extension of Port Authority functions under Section 47A of the Port Authorities Act 1963. The Minister may, through a Gazette order, extend a port authority's powers and duties to another port. When this happens, the authority becomes the official port authority for that port with the same legal powers. Malaysia's legal system includes multiple tiers of legislation, and understanding the distinction between subsidiary law and bylaws is essential for interpreting how regulatory authority is exercised, especially in areas such as maritime governance, transport regulation, and municipal administrative control. Subsidiary law refers to legislation made under the authority delegated by a parent or enabling act passed by Parliament. These laws are created when a federal act grants lawmaking powers to a minister, statutory authority, or government department. Their legal source, therefore, comes from federal acts enacted by Parliament, which explicitly allow further rulemaking through regulations, orders, rules, or directions. The authority to draft and issue these subsidiary laws typically lies with federal ministries, such as the Ministry of Transport, or with statutory commissions operating under federal jurisdiction. Before taking legal effect, subsidiary legislation may require approval through publication in the Federal Gazette, ensuring transparency and enforceability. Malaysia's federal state structure also influences how laws are named, classified, and enacted. Legislative competence is guided by the federal constitution, specifically the 9th Schedule, which divides subjects between federal and state lists. Matters under the state list, such as land use, local government administration, and certain port and water operations, may require state-level legislation. In Peninsular Malaysia, state laws are referred to as enactments, passed by the State Legislative Assembly, Dewan Undangan Negeri, DUN, and assented to by the Sultan or Governor. However, in Sabah and Sarawak, state laws are traditionally known as ordinances, reflecting historical legislative practice retained since the post-colonial administrative period. This structure explains why certain maritime regulatory bodies hold both federal and delegated legal authority. For example, the Port Authorities Act 1963, Penang Port Commission Act 1955, and Bintulu Port Authority Act 1981 empower port authorities to create their own bylaws or subsidiary regulations governing berthing, pilotage, port dues, safety zones, and marine operations within their jurisdiction. These powers allow port authorities to operationalize national maritime policy at the local level while remaining legally aligned with federal law. Why federal ports are so important? Federal ports might sound technical, but they're an essential part of our daily lives. They are the reason we have access to imported goods such as food, fuel, electronics, and building materials. They also allow Malaysian businesses to export products like palm oil, rubber, and manufactured goods to the rest of the world. Federal ports create thousands of jobs in logistics, shipping, and trade, and they play a vital role in supporting Malaysia's oil, gas, and industrial sectors. Without them, our economy and supply chains would slow down significantly. In summary, federal ports in Malaysia operate under the authority of the Ministry of Transport, MOT, and are regulated through a comprehensive legislative framework. Key instruments include the Penang Port Commission Act 1955, the Port Authorities Act 1963, the Bintulu Port Authority Act 1981, the Statutory Bodies Act 1980, and the Ports Privatization Act 1990. Together, these laws define the statutory functions of port authorities, outline regulatory obligations, and enable the privatization model in which government-owned port assets are managed by concessionaires while federal oversight remains intact. Across the nation, Malaysia's port infrastructure forms an integrated maritime logistics network. From Penang Port and Teluk Ava, including Kedah Cement Jetty SDN, BHD, KCJSB, in the north, to Port Klang and Malacca Port along the west coast, and further south to Johor Port and the Port of Tanjung Pelepah, PTP. These ports serve as the country's primary maritime gateways connecting Malaysia to global trade routes in East Malaysia. Strategic federal ports such as Labuan Port and the energy-driven Bintulu Port play vital roles in supporting regional industrial growth, energy exports, and maritime commerce across the South China Sea trade corridor. Collectively, federal ports function as more than maritime berthing points. They operate as interconnected, high-capacity logistics hubs that facilitate the movement of containers, bulk cargo, petroleum products, manufactured goods, agricultural commodities, and essential imports. Their role is central to supporting Malaysia's economy, strengthening national supply chains, and sustaining the country's competitiveness along international maritime routes, including the Straits of Malacca, one of the world's busiest and most strategically significant shipping channels. Ultimately, Malaysia's federal port ecosystem serves as the backbone of the national maritime industry, a network of regulated, modernized, strategically located, and globally linked maritime gateways that ensure efficient trade flows, strengthen logistics resilience, and maintain Malaysia's connection to regional and international markets.
That's all for a video. Thank you. See you in the next video.